Hello everyone, welcome back. We're learning how to program the ETC EOS lighting console. And today we're going to start working with channels. Last time we patched channels into the system, and now we're going to work with those channels to create some groups. We're going to talk a little bit about submasters, and we're going to learn a little something about the navigation system within the EOS. So I've got my workbook. It's right there on the screen. I hope you've got your workbook as well. Take a look at the video and then practice on your own. Okay, we're back. Today we're talking about channels, and we're going to start working with channels in the ETC EOS system. You can see that I have patched in the patch exercise that's in the appendix in the back of our workbook, and I've saved the file. And I've called it ETC Level 1 Programming. And you see, remember how I did that? I went into my, let me turn on my mouse for you. So I've gone into the CIA. I went into File. I double-clicked the Save command. So I'm going to double-click that now. Do you really want to save? Since I've already saved it once, it used the file name I already gave it. If you haven't saved it already, it'll ask you to type a file name in, and you can save it, something you'd like. Put your name in it at the beginning. So whoever you are, first name, use the underscore, and then your last name, and then call it, Level 1 Programming or something like that. But it's important to have your name at the beginning. And I think the assignment actually tells you, exactly how to do that. So now that we have a number of channels, in our system in the range, it might be important if we're on the stage to check and make sure all of those channels work. So something you might do often is do the channel check. So we're in live. So the first thing we want to do if we want to start with channel 1, which I do, is channel 1 full. Chan check it's this right here, and it's a little hard to see, but it's a soft key, and it's a soft key that will appear on your keyboard. So check, and it says full check right there, enter. And you see it brought channel 1 to full. And now I just have to use the next and last keys to be able to step through all of the different channels. I don't, let me see what next and last is on next and last. There's next and last. Page up and page down. Well, I don't have a page up and page down on my particular keyboard here, so I'm going to step through a few and let you take a look over here. That as I type the next key over here, you'll see the channels start to move one by one. So next, 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 next. You might be working with the lighting designer, and they're having you step through the all of the channels. So you can step through them all. We can't see them right now. So I'm going to hit the clear key, because that's how we will we'll get out of it. So I'm going to hit clear. And you see the system has, my keyboard was in the way, but you see the system has kind of gone back to normal. I'm looking at this. It looks to me like my channel 31 and 32 I did not get patched correctly, because they don't look like the other channels around it. You see some of these tombstones are a little longer. Some of them have some information in them: 100 open, 100 0, and 2 plus signs. The taller tombstones are multi-parameter fixtures, and those are these little tombstones are going to give us information once we start providing values in these fixtures. It'll start giving us some information about what color it is, what pattern it has in it. If you have a preset or a focus palette or a beam palette or a color palette. If you have one of those things assigned to these particular channels, it'll show up here in the Tombstones as well. So it looks like I have those wrong. I'll go back and fix those later though. We can also patch by address instead, or a channel check through address. I'm going to type in address first. So you see how it appears in my command line? Address 1 check, address 1 full check. So you have to tell, so what's the address or channel? What do you want to do to it? And then what's the next step? So you see before I got a red, hey, you can't do that syntax error. So I just cleared it out and I remembered, oh, the order that you type stuff in when you're working with channels very often is really important to the console. So it'll tell you if it doesn't like it. It'll give you that red syntax error message. So full check, enter, and then now I don't see any addresses that start with address 1. But if I were to next through these, it's going to go through. It's going to go through my addresses one at a time, and sometimes it's valuable to. And I'm going to hit clear, and that'll take us out of the address check. Sometimes you have a channel number that the lighting designer wants to use, but you don't know the address, or whenever we were hanging the lighting fixture and plugging all the lights in, we forgot to write down the address on a particular fixture. And so sometimes when you're stepping through the addresses like that, that's how you can find a fixture. You know which one it's supposed to be, and then you keep hitting the next key. Once it finally comes on, you're like, oh, I see, that was address 35, and then you can write it down. So that's how you can sometimes do do your detective work when you go back. So don't forget to save your shows, save early and save often. I like to say there's a quick shortcut to saving your show, and that is Shift and Update. And you have to kind of press them at the same time, Shift, then Update, then let them both go. Shift, Update. And you can see I've saved my show. Success. That's the quick way to save, and that saves it right to the hard drive in the console. If you're saving to a flash drive, you'll have to come in here into the CIA and save it to your flash drive. But the quick update way always saves it. So on your keyboard, it's Shift and U. On the actual console, it's Shift and Update are the keys that you would use. Okay, so now let's start working with some channels. So we're in live mode already. So let's start working with some channels. And I'm going in the workbook again, and I'm at the Working with Channels section. I'm on page 9. So I'm going to type in. So it tells me to type in 1 at full enter. And you can see that channel 1 gave me an intensity of full. So if your channel is selected, I can hit at again and type 50 and hit enter. And you don't have to type the channel number again if you're changing the same channel, if it's still selected. And you know it's selected because it has the little yellow box around it. So I'm also going to say 2 plus 3 at 5 enter. And you can see what it has done. It has given me channels 2 plus 3 at 50%. And you see I just said at 5. The system automatically gives me a little shortcut there. And so if you want something at 50% or 60 or 70 or 80, you can just type in at 8, at 9, at 5, at 4, and it'll automatically give you 30, 40, 50, those percentages. And that may seem like, gosh, I could type a 0 in. And you could, for sure. But when you're programming and, everybody's waiting for you, every little shortcut that you can think of sometimes can save everybody some time. So that's an important thing to remember. Okay, let's do some more. 31 through 50. minus 34 minus 35 at 65. So you see what this did? It gave me channels 31 through 50, but we left out channels 34 and 35. So you could have a whole range of channels that all do something very similar. We're recording this thing live and the phone rings. So what do? You listen to my phone ring. Okay, so you might have a range of lighting fixtures that all do something similar, but you want to leave a couple out for some good reason. Maybe this one is, this is where a person's standing and you don't want to highlight them yet, but you want all these other lights to, or you want to darken a particular part of the stage, but you want all the rest of the lights to go to 65%. That might be a reason why you might want to do that. It's worth saying again that you should have patched these channels in before. So if you did the exercise in the appendix, just open up that file that you saved, and then you can work along in the same set of channels that we're working along in today. So, okay, I'm going to now type in 59 through 62, full, enter. So now these channels have come up to full. So we used full without typing the at key. And that's one of the rare functions that we can do in the EOS system without typing at is full. We could also type this in 55 through 58, full, full. Full automatically brings that to full without you having to type in the at key and without you having to type enter. And all these little shortcuts can save time, and eventually they really will be meaningful when you're trying to save time when you're programming. Okay, so here's another way to control it, which is going to be difficult for us, but because we don't have a intensity wheel. But we'll try 51 through 62, enter. You see it selects all those channels. And then if we were to go to the, well, that pop-up menu doesn't have it either. Does the ML controls? Yeah, the ML controls has an intensity wheel. So I went to ML controls, a little pop-up ML controls. And you see I can roll up. You can't see it because it's in the way. But you can see I can roll up. I rolled the intensity all the way up to full using the intensity wheel. So I grabbed those channels first, and then I use the wheel, which is a physical thing on the console itself. Here we can go into ML controls and use the intensity wheel. But you can use that wheel to give yourself an intensity. Sometimes if you're a lighting designer looking at the stage, it might not be about a particular number. You may say 65 and start with that. Then you might use that wheel to kind of roll up and down. It could very well be that 62% is the one that looks right to you. I've had master electricians and programmers argue with me because I think they love the clean numbers in the system. They'd rather see a 60 or a 65 or a 70 or a 75. But as the lighting designer, you know if 72 is right. You know if 12% is what looks right to you. And remember, you're the artist. You're the one that's creating these lighting looks for the stage. And so sometimes using that intensity wheel on the console and you wheel it up just a little bit more might say exactly the right thing that you're trying to say. Just the right amount of backlight. Just the right amount of face light. And you, as the artist, get to make those choices. And so don't worry if somebody is telling you to use clean numbers. Do I use clean numbers most of the time? I do, but sometimes 7% is the right number, and so don't be afraid to do that. Okay, so I'm going to type in 8 at 50, enter. And then you can hit the shift and the plus key And do you see that I have gone, I'm right up here, Shift and plus and Shift and minus takes me down by 10% at a time. So this could be a way that, the lighting designer says to you, if you're programming, let me have plus 10, Shift and the plus key or Shift and the minus key will adjust that intensity. You see, I've got down a minus percentage. The console defaults to a 10% default. Here's another way to work with channels. I'm going to type in 1 through 35 out. And you see out is a self-terminating command. You don't have to hit the enter key. See, when I typed that in, it automatically gave me the little diamond down there. So full, and out are self-terminating commands. Remember that the offset key can also be used. It's a soft key that can be used to make custom selections. So when you're selecting channels, sometimes you might want to, depending upon how you have your light plot set up, you might have even numbers. Say, for example, on my light plot, I have my side lights coming from stage right and stage left. All of my even numbered channels are on stage right. My odd numbered channels are on stage left. Well, if you do something like that, the system can make it easy for you to select those ranges of channels. So if I were to say 31 through 50, offset, and then you see I get another set of keys here. I can offset, and I get some special spacing or keys in this menu here. You can do it in your soft keys down here. And then I want even. Click even and hit enter. You see it is selected the even numbered fixtures in that range of channels. If I say at 80, enter, you see it took all of those channels, those even channels that I selected, and put them at 80%. So I'm going to type in 31 through 50 out. I took all those channels out. But you can see those channels are still selected. And so I can still act on them again without typing at again if I want to. So I'm going to type in 31 through 50, offset 3 at 75, enter. So every third fixture in my range of channels, I made 75%. Maybe you have cyc lights that you're working with, or maybe the way you've set your light plot up, every third light you want to change a different color. If you've got a bunch of LEDs you're working with, you want to change those to blue real quick. And if you're setting up an effect or something like that, working with particular ranges of channels might be valuable to you. Okay, so next I'm going to give you a function in the system that you'll use all the time, and it's called sneak. And sneak removes the manual data, and it allows the channels to sneak back to their background state. So any channel right now that is selected that has some sort of manual data in it, and even zero, even a no intensity, that is data that particular channel has right now. So there is something called a default sneak time that you can set up in the setup menu. But sneak allows you to take those channels out and remove them from the selection. So I'm going to type in 34 sneak, enter. You can see it's taking 34 out in whatever the default sneak time is, which is probably 5 seconds. It takes that channel out in 5 seconds. And so we can also say clear. I have to hit clear here because here's the sneak key on the actual keyboard, sneak, enter. clear. So if I have a clear command line and I hit sneak enter, it restores all manual levels back to their background state. So you see nothing is selected, nothing has a yellow box, nothing has any red numbers in them, which means that's active data or manual data. Oh, let me give a range of channels, 1 through 50 full. So all of those channels now have full percentage. I can also sneak everything out all at once and override the manual sneak time. So I can type in, I can clear out my command line, and I can type sneak 0, enter. And you see my sneak time was 0 seconds. It brought it out entirely. And so sneak is your friend when you're trying to get rid of manual data in the channels that you've been working with. Let's talk a little bit about live and blind displays. This is the primary live screen, which you're looking at, which is the channel display right now. This is the summary of your live channels, or it's also sometimes called the live table view. If I click the format key and I go back to into my live view, you can see that it has changed the format of what these channels look like. It's not all of the tombstones like we had before. It's a little bit more of it's calling it the live table. And this is the live table and the patched channels in my live table. And this is just a different way of looking at the channel information. 1 through 10 have nothing, no special information associated with them. So I know that those are dimmers. 31 is an ETC D60 Luster Plus in direct mode. And you can see when we're in the live table mode, there's lots of different features about this particular channel that I can see and affect. So when we start doing different things, changing the colors of these channels or giving the intensity will appear here, whether that shutter strobe is open or not, you can get that kind of information in this table view. And you see, it looks like what I have done is, and I know that I got these patched incorrectly. Remember we said earlier that I patched these wrong. It looks like I forgot to give these two channel numbers a type. I didn't tell it that this should be a D60 luster. So let's go into patch and fix that right now. So I'm going to go into patch. And I'm going to find channels 30, were they 31 and 32? 31 plus 32 and select them. No, it's 32 and 33. Clear, clear, clear. 32 plus 33, enter. You see they're just dimmers, so I made a mistake. So I'm going to go over to the type. And if you go into the show list, click that. These are all the ones that you have input already. And so let's find the one we're looking for. It's the D60 Luster Plus. There it is. And so now if I go back to live, I'm going to go back and click live. Those channels don't appear oddly because they're part of this range. So these 31 through 50, these are my D60 Luster Plus. Looks like 51 through 82 are my color source spot in direct mode. 101 through 105 are my solar frame theaters. And so you see this mode allows you to see a lot of information, this table, a lot of information about these particular channels. So we know that a solar frame theater, for example, is a moving light that can do lots of things like panning and tilting. It's got a color wheel, so this is the percentage of cyan, magenta, and yellow. You can also do color selects. Looks like this particular wheel is open. CTO is color correct. This will tell you if you have that turned on or not. You can adjust the iris, the edge control, zoom, where that light is zoomed into. So you can get a lot of information about what's going on with that particular fixture in this live table mode. This is really valuable information for the programmer often. When I'm the lighting designer, for the most part, I don't need to know about all of this stuff unless I'm programming my own show. So I'm going to go back to Format. I like the live table view because I want to know what channels have intensity. Sometimes I want to know what color they are, and this can give me quick information, once I put the color in. For the most part, I want to look at this summary of the channels. I want to look at the tombstones so I can quickly know what channels, if I'm in a particular queue, I can know what channels have intensity and what don't. What are the channels doing? So what I want you to do is you start working with channels, figuring out how to bring intensity on. So hopefully you've got this patched in. If not, do that. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye.